Hey Guitar Fam and friends, how's it going? It's Nate Savage. Second most requested song on the 2025 Guitar Fam survey was Tennessee Whiskey, but I didn't want to do the rhythm guitar part, which is in this video right here, without doing the solo for it, because the solo is such a fantastic opportunity to really dig into how to use major pentatonic scales and to think about chord shapes, the chord shapes over which you're playing to play solos, using triads, and your cage shapes and things like that. So I wanted to do that with this one. If you haven't yet, go to guitarfam.com, create your complimentary account. You can grab all the resources for this lesson, the tab, and the jam track, and you'll be able to also access the first module of all of our premium courses. If you're not really confident with thinking about how to think about pentatonic scales, the Blues Hound course is great for that. If you're not confident about how to think about major and minor chord shapes up and down the neck using triads or the caged shapes, the Cage Roadmap course is great for that, and you get access to the first module of all those courses with a complimentary account. All right, let's go ahead and get into this one. All right, to start out, let's talk tone. I'm just running right into my audio interface into an instance of Helix Native. I'm using the mail order twin amp model, and going into that I have an EP booster, some compression, slide back delay, and then some tremolo. And then after that, some EQ and some reverb. If you're interested, I'll put that patch up for you. You can just find it in the comments or a link wherever this video is posted. But this is what the clean tone sounds like. Okay, and we're in the key of A major in 6/8 time. And the chord progression for this entire song, anytime you're playing a lead, is just going back and forth between an A major, one chord, and then a B minor, the 2 chord, right? So those are the chords and shapes we're gonna have to be thinking about as far as, chord shapes and scales that we're going to need to play the intro riff and the solo for this. So the main scale shape you need to have down to play this solo well is just a little major pentatonic fragment that works its way and repeats its way up the fretboard. This way, I'll show you. If you don't know it, start on this A. Since we're in A, this will be your root note, always with your index finger on the root. 5, 7 with your 3rd finger, and then slide up to 9. And then play 7 and 9 on the next string. And that's the entire shape you need for this. It just repeats its way up the fretboard. And there's more going on here than that, but that's the main pentatonic scale shape that you need. So index finger on the root all the time, always sliding on your 3rd finger. And once you get to that point, 5 notes, pentatonic right, you start on the next A up and play the exact same shape again. Slide with your 3rd finger. That's the main scale shape that he's using throughout the solo. And then you could do another octave up here starting on the 10th fret of the B string. Play that same shape. Right? And that's 3 instances of that. And he even does one down here, starting with the open A string for the intro. Okay, but that's a fragment that you really need to have your hands on really well to play the solo. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the little theme. And what you're gonna notice in the theme and in that solo actually is a lot of the phrases start on the 4. So if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a lot of times you're gonna start on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the first part of the lick. So just open, 2 on the low A string, then our point of reference, since we're in A, is this open A for our little shape that we're doing. And then start on the 2nd fret, and you're going to slide into the 4th fret. So that first phrase. Okay. From there, you hold that out for the entire next measure and the first half of the measure after that. And then on 4 of measure 3, you slide up to 4 again from 2, slide back down to 2, and then pull off to open A string there. Okay, so those first 3 measures, starting with that first measure that's a pickup on the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And from there in the next measure on 1, you're just gonna slide up to 4 again and back down to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on 5, 6 of the next measure you go 5, 6, just slide up to 4 twice. 5, 6, next measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just start on 4, 1, 2, slide down to 2, and hold that out throughout the rest of that measure. And the first half of the next measure. The final little lick for this one is just on 4, and that next measure is just. So slide up to 4, slide back down to 2, pull off to open, and then hit open again. Okay. That one's pretty easy compared to the actual solo, so let me just play the whole thing for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let that ring out until he starts singing. All right, let's go ahead and get into this solo. If you're watching a lot of the live performances, he plays it a little bit differently than I think he's playing on the recording. Live performances, he kind of plays it an octave lower on some parts, but I'm going to keep things up around this area so we can tell what's going on, is what shapes we're playing, using to play over the A major and the B minor chords. He starts off like rhythmically and melodically the same way he started, the exact same way, but it's played in a different way in a different location, an octave higher. He goes like this. I'll just play it for you. 1, 2, 3. And what I'm thinking when I play this is my home bass here is set up over this A major chord. So I see this A on the B string for the B string, and I also see this A on the D string, 7th fret. And that's what I really think of as this little this A major pentatonic fragment that we've been working with, that we went over a little bit earlier. And that's all the notes I'm using out of this. So it is 9, 11 on the G string, and then the next note over is 10 on the B string, and that's my A root note. And then I bend up the 12th fret, which is a B, up to a C sharp, which is the 3rd of an A major chord. And the way he does it, he chokes the first 3 notes instead of just letting them ring out. Like that. So he cut it off short for those first 3, and then bend the 12th fret up. Kind of prolong that for the, really it's the first half of that measure, 3 beats, 1, 2, 3, and then there's a rest for the rest of that measure. Okay, after that little lick, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. On the 4, the next measure, you take your middle finger, put it on the 7th fret of the G string, hit that note, and I also have my 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the high E string. Just set up there because I'm about to need it. But I play the G string, 7th fret, and I slide into the 9th fret from below. And that's on 4. And then on 6, I pluck the high E string on the 9th fret. And all this is, it's taking the 3rd and the 5th from this D shape, this A, this a D shape here, and just pulling those notes out of that A major chord. You could, just so you can see where it comes from, is that D shape. Okay, 4, 5, 6. And then on the next measure, you hit playing 9s on the G and high E strings, pluck them, and then just really quickly slide down to 7 and hold that out for the next measure and a half. Okay, and all I'm doing here is this is where, on this measure, this is where it switches to a B minor chord. And all you're doing here, when you slide down, you're pulling out the 3rd and the root of this B minor chord that uses the E minor shape. So really you're going, if you want to think about the chords. Okay. From there, it's still over B minor, so hit the 7 again where you're set up. Slide up to 9, grab 9 on the high E string, and then hit 9s again on the G and high E, and slide back down to 7. And you're still over B minor here. And hold that out throughout that entire measure. Next measure, let it ring out until you get to 5, 6, and just hit it twice more on 5, 6. And then the next measure is where you go back to an A chord. And I'm just playing. This A major E shape, I'm just pulling out the third and the root of that A major using the E shape. So that's where that shape comes from. So let me just play this whole thing for you up to this point. And what I would really recommend doing is listening to this solo a lot so you can get the phrasing down. The phrasing is probably the most challenging part of the solo because there's so much space and the timing is so spread out. So listen, that'll really help you a lot. I listened to this for probably 2 days before I even tried to tab it out or play it or anything, just so I could get it in my head. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just knowing that when you start off, you're starting with this A, and then the little minor pentatonic fragment, and then you could go into using this A shape to this B minor and resolve at the end of the progression down to this A major that uses the E shape. Working on visualizing those chord shapes is a really big key to playing rootsy, kind of bluesy country solos like this. So that's the end of the first phrase. All right, this next little phrase switches to a 16th note feel, and it just uses mainly the major pentatonic fragment that we were talking about, the A major. So, okay, so it starts off, here, I'll just play it for you. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm thinking this A major right here, or this A root note, okay? And then plugging in my little fragment in there. But it starts off below it. It starts off on this E on 7, 9 on the A string, and then 7 of the D, 9 of the A, back to 7. And then you have a rest, a 16th note rest. From there, the next measure, you slide into 11 from 9. And that's our slide, right? A, B, for our little fragment. But slide into 11, then 9, 11, 11 on the G string. And then from there, I land on a root note, an A. So I would just take that on its own, and he picks every single note in here, I believe. I'll play that again. And I get set up here with my index finger on that A, and that's gonna be my home base, and I'm still thinking about this D-shaped A major. But I'm also thinking my A little major pentatonic fragment here. And what I do from that 10 in the next measure, I go to 12 and bend that up a whole step. Let it down, hit it again, and then hit A again. So it's just like mi, re, do, 3, 2, 1, but I have a bend with it. 3, 2, 1. And it's pretty quick. And it's the same idea in the next little phrase on 4, 5, 6, but you have a step and a half bend on the 12th fret, and then a full step, and then back to A. So that measure with all the bending there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the measure after he hits 10 again on the 1, and holds it out for that whole measure, and that kind of slides down. So I'll play that second phrase, starting on the 16th note a little bit for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay, after that, the first 3 beats of the next measure are just a rest, and then you have this lick. And for that, all I'm doing is I'm really just thinking about major pentatonic here again, surrounded or with the foundation of this D-shaped A major. So I'm thinking this A major pentatonic, and I'm just doing a double stop on it. So hold down the 10th fret of the B string, 9th fret of the G string with your first and second fingers, play them, and then hammer on to the 11th fret of the G string with your third finger, and then pull off back to the 9th fret. And then I go back and hit 11 again on its own. So, and then I can move over to the, actually it would be the 11th fret of the D, because I'm just going to hit that real quick and just slide down to 9. And then pull off to 7. And you can see that I'm I'm just in that A major pentatonic box. So slide down from 11 to 9, pull off to 7, then 9 of the A string. So from there, 7, 9 again of the A string, and then 7 of the D string back on our A. That's kind of our home base right now. And from there, you have this little quick triplet run. All I'm doing is going 9, hammer on to 10, pull off to 9, pull off to 7. Okay, some of you start with that double stop, from that double stop, like 1, 2, 3. And the second half of that measure is that, and it just stays with your pentatonic, your A major pentatonic. 7, 9 on the A string, 7 on the D string, 9 on the A string, 7 on the D string. And from there, I go to 7 of the A string. That's in the beginning of the next measure. And there's a little grace note on 7. And I just hit that super quick and hammer on to 9. So let me play up to that point for you from kind of that midway 16th note lick. So 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So as soon as you have this, that little grace note hammered onto the 9th fret after that, our last lick is just 9 on the A, 7, 9, 7 on the D, and then slide up from 9. In the next measure, slide up from 9 to 11, and then on the G string, 9, 11, the B string, 10, which is our root note, our A, and then 11. And that's your final note of the solo. So let me play the whole thing for you one more time. Of course, the whole playthrough with the jam tracks is the beginning of this video, but I'll do it a little bit slower than the original tempo for you. Here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. So I hope that helps. I think the biggest thing for this solo again is to listen to it until you can kind of sing the phrasing, because once you can sing the phrasing, that takes that challenge out of the equation a little bit, and then you're left with some space to think about what shapes you're using, what pentatonic shapes, and what chord shapes you should be thinking about as you solo over these chord changes. All right, that's it for this lesson. Be sure to grab the resources for this one. The jam track and the tab for you are available on the Guitar Fam site. And if you haven't yet, go to guitarfam.com and create your complimentary account. You'll be able to access all that stuff and the first module of all of our premium courses. And you can schedule a personal, private, one-on-one video lesson with me. The first one is complimentary. Hope to see you there.